need to recognize in this party that all of us must now go beyond the call of duty, because we have a duty to restore hope to Barbadians. We have a duty to create the space for Barbadians to be able to play their part. And all I ask for in return to the 150% that my candidates will bring to you is for you also to stand up and be prepared to shoulder that same level of burden as we go street by street, house by house, with the message of hope, with a covenant of hope. One that will let people know that we can't do this alone, that there's a whole category of Barbadians who have been left out of decision making, who have been left out of the process. And you know, the thing that stands out with these two, and Sonia and Colin Jordan and the youngsters who have come forward, is that when I came, and when Liz and Ronald and all of us came, we came in our early 20s. And to a large extent, the party was more willing to recognize that it had to rebuild from the ground because we had lost 24-3. That's a fact. In the first election, after the Barbados Labour Party lost 24-3, was when I ran, was when Liz Thompson ran, was when Ronald Toppin ran, was when Glenn Clark ran, was when Joe Edgell ran, was when Duncan Carter ran. But part of being so successful in government has meant that we have not necessarily created as much space for young people to emerge. So that the notion that in this crowd here and beyond, there are people in their 30s and 40s who have never served on a board, far less run, far less be a minister. But yet, I was a minister at 27, 28. Liz Thompson was a minister at 30. Ronald Toppin at 31. At 36, Marsha, you're 37? 38? I tell no your age, but don't mind. At Marsha's age, I was already Attorney General of Barbados for 2 years. And at her exact age, I became Deputy Prime Minister. Family, this team that we are leading will reflect the best of experience from a George Payne and a Cynthia Ford and a Dale Marshall, a Glenn Clark, a Ronald Toppin. But it must also admit of the best that our young people have to offer in this country, from people like Marsha and Kirk and Sonia Brown and Colin Jordan and John King and Santia and Wilfred and Indar. You ran already, but I thank you for coming back in, because it gives us the blend that we need to represent this country. I also want tonight to say that we must lead always by example. We must lead always by example. And it is something that I addressed at the annual conference last year, because what matters most is first and foremost your ability to care about people. As much as we offer ourselves as representatives, it's not about us. It is about the people we have come to represent. And I learned at a very young age that it takes 2 minutes to listen to any and everybody coming to ask for your ear. Do not ever turn them away. Do not behave like some of these ministers who, when they come to Parliament, there are people standing up in the yard for hours waiting to see them. and they don't come and address the people. And when I talk about leading by example too, we cannot be lawmakers and lawbreakers. But you see, from a prime minister who broke the law with practicing law while being a prime minister and handling money on a client's account for CLICO, right back through to all of the other examples of the law breaking, you then wonder and ask yourself, how do I go in the moral hole and tell the youngsters there that they are being harassed for one thing, for breaking the law, but others who have connections are being ignored and allowed to fly the coop without ever facing a day before the law courts? We must lead by example. But it is not only the law that must require us to lead by example. And there was something that happened this week that must be deprecated in the strongest possible terms. Dale, I'm aware that you spoke to aspects of it on Friday. This country faced, and as we stand tonight and pray for our brothers and sisters in Jamaica and Cuba and Haiti, who God knows cannot withstand 150 miles per hour coming on any of those landscapes. But as we reflect on what we went through this week, and as we give thanks today for sparing Barbados such that other than some little flooding and regrettably a few houses that were affected, we also have to reflect on the message sent by some of the leaders of this country. I am thankful and want to salute A1 Supermarkets for having the courage to say, I am wrong. And anyone who is in a leadership position in this country must always be prepared to say that they are wrong. And I have given you that commitment not just this year, but throughout. Because what matters is not being right or wrong on a particular issue, but it is the trust that is forged from the conversation when we acknowledge that we are but mortal and therefore we have the capacity to have human frailty cause us to be wrong on occasion. People do not pass judgment on us because we committed a sin. They pass judgment on us for repeating the sin without repentance. And when therefore I deplore the actions of the Minister of Housing, Dennis Kelman, for opening his business at the very time that the Attorney General was seeking to do the right thing by asking people to observe the national shutdown, because what is at risk is ultimately people's lives. Now, you may never have perfection, but what you must never have is a person sitting in the same cabinet next to him and next to the acting prime minister being the first out of the wicket to break the request for there to be a national shutdown. It is wrong. And we say it every day in our households. Adults must set examples for children. Ministers must set examples for the population. I have a St. Michael constituency. Trevor, you get it. Santia, you get it. The level of suffering throughout the urban corridor in this country is almost unparalleled. Jeffrey, you see it. There are people who are 26 and 27 and 28 years old who have never worked a day in their life since leaving school. Not one day. And at the same time, We have a government that is consolidating ownership in the hands of a few. We have a government that makes the decision to build a headquarters for the SSA instead of providing free education for the people who cannot afford to go to UE. Government is about choices. It's about choices. And there is only so much that people can bear. At the very time that unemployment went up, welfare checks and support went down to people. At the very time that unemployment and disposable income from all of the taxes went up and disposable income went down, people are now being forced to pay for medication to tuition fees, increased water rates, and not getting any water to boot in 5 or 6 of the 11 parishes in the country. I am saying to you that Barbadians need to pause. And I am deeply conscious as leader of this party that what we must bring is hope. Because too many of our people are beginning to believe that better cannot be done. And I am asking all of our candidates in St. Michael, Christchurch and St. James to have a special encounter, especially with the people under 30 who we are going to have to rely on to help build this country back up again. Who we are going to have to rely on not to turn to a life of crime, not to use automatic weapons as a means of solving problems, not to believe that they can only eat if they break the law in Barbados. And I want to ask Arthur Holder, Trevor Prescott, Santia, Jeffrey, Kirk, and Marsha, of course, because it is important, and Jerome as General Secretary, please, just as you saw our St. Philip team last week, please come. You must now see the Southern St. Michael team of the Barbados Labour Party, which was completed here tonight. Come forward. Come, Jerome. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Southern St. Michael team of the Barbados Labour Party. I promised you we would get there. And I promised you that this team would be reflecting experience and youth. The experience in a Trevor Prescott and a Jeffrey Bostick. Arthur Holder straddling experience and youth. Don't test them. Santia, Kirk, and Marsha representing the next generation to carry this Barbados Labour Party forward. I am happy, General Secretary. Please, come on the other end. I am happy to present to you the team of the Southern St. Michael Party, Barbados Labour Party. This is a team that is going to restore hope, that is going to create opportunity, that is going to reflect care, and to use Marsha's words, that will also exhibit courage and commitment. I want you to support them. Thank you, good night, and God bless you.